Hey everybody, it's Donovan with the Music Retail Podcast. I want to thank you for being here today and for watching today's episode. I think you're going to really enjoy it. You know, my goal with the Music Retail Podcast is to interview people that are interesting, that have something to give and to share, that can help you build a better business. In order to make sure you receive future updates, please like and subscribe. That not only will keep you in the loop for things as they come up, but it also helps the YouTube algorithm to know that people actually like this content and will share it around. Okay? Let's get to the interview.
Okay, well, today's a lot of fun. So I had mentioned to you guys in the beginning that you all were on my list from the very start of this podcast, and I'm really excited to get to talk to Greg Gammon and Ryan Crabb from Third Rock Music Center in Ohio. I forgot where you're located in Ohio. Tell me where.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, that's right. I've heard of that. And so I became familiar with your store through the Top 100 Awards at Summer NAMM, and you guys have been nominees in the past, and just seeing pictures of your store just looks so beautiful and really creative. And so I'm excited that we get to talk today and learn a little more about your business, and specifically I wanted to cover how you guys are handling preparations for all the COVID-19 stuff. And so I'm going to kind of change up the order of what I normally do. Normally I start with kind of your business background and stuff like that, but I don't want to bury the lead. I kind of want to jump right into what you guys have been doing to prepare to open. If I recall, you opened to the public again this week, and
Yeah.
Bob, you made a great YouTube video showing all the things that you guys have done to make your store safe for customers. And Bob Fitz, the retail doctor, shared that, which is actually how I saw it. And I thought it was really fantastic. I know me and my team have taken notes about things that we're going to implement. But kind of share with us some of the stuff that you did and what the thought process went in behind making that video.
Well, I mean, you know, we've all had a chance to visit the local, big box home improvement stores. We've gone to the grocery stores. We've been to the bank during the time when we're supposed to stay at home. And we see what they're doing with plexiglass. I thought it might be a good idea to go out and buy as much as I possibly could, well, not all as much, but at least some of it, so we can get some ideas. And I'm pretty handy. The store that we have, I kind of built myself. It took me a while to do it, but so, putting plexiglass up, moving things around, we repositioned some stuff in the store to clean up the front of the store so it's not so cluttered, to give people the proper amount of space that they need to check out, stand around, talk, or whatever they want to do. So in the Responsible Restart Ohio is something that the governor puts out, and it has a mandatory list and a recommended best practices list. So looking at that, even though it changes every day, it seems like one goes from one column to the other. But just putting those practices in effect and make sure we have the distancing and space for folks to be in the store safely, and make sure we're all wearing masks and doing what we can. And we don't like to talk about COVID when you come in the store. People want to come in and start complaining and whining, and we just want to get away from that right away. What's the first rule of Fight Club? We don't talk about Fight Club. So just take that off the table, start talking about gear and about, other positive things that are going on. So when we did the video, that was the first thing. We want to let everybody know that, hey, you can come in here, you can be safe. It's kind of neat that the biggest thing that we've noticed, the biggest change in as far as helping our business has been the idea of coming up with having a private experience. So you have the store all to yourself. And we, ever since May 1st, even though the retailers weren't allowed to be there, they kind of relaxed things a little bit, and office workers can go back and things like that. So we started offering that during the day, where one person can come in and we'll all stay back and they can shop. And it's been 100% close rate. Everybody's spending their stimulus money, and right now we're having probably the best May we've ever had, and we're just not even halfway through it yet. So that's been really big. Last night it was kind of cool. Andrew Benintendi from the Boston Red Sox came in and bought a really nice Fender, a Rarity Telecaster, and he's going to be back in today buying an amp. But having the ability to schedule an appointment, come in, and just shop around, safe, and not have anybody bothering you. We'll have the music up or down, however you want. I mean, we should probably serve beer and wine. That should be the next step. But those are the kind of things that we've done, and they've worked out really well. I think getting out in front of it and let people know that, hey, you can come here and be safe. I thought that was really important. The video that we did was just something that we just did kind of, let's make sure we cover these points and let's just go. So there was no set script or anything like that. So it was, we do a lot of stuff like that, just off the cuff, and just try to be as real as we can possibly be. A lot of folks say that, your social media, your videos, the best thing to do is to have some versus not do any at all. And
Right.
we agree with that. And there is no right or wrong way to do it. As long as you're doing something, you'll get something back from it. So that's been our take. And yeah, we've probably been getting better and better at it as we do it. We've got some talented people that we're associated with that help us do these kind of things and stuff. People here in the store that help us do those things. And we put all that together and just use the resources that we have and the crazy little ideas we come up with. So that was the whole genesis of all of that. And it's worked out really, really well. Just do what your state tells you to do. And then take that to a level where you're letting other people know that you're following the rules.
Yeah.
And video is probably the best way to reach your customers right now. Everybody watches videos. When I scroll through my phone with nothing else to do, I'm watching videos. I'm not sitting there reading some diatribe about this, that, or the other thing. So, I'm as lazy-minded as anyone. So,
right.
Yeah, do that.
So let's talk about this private experience. So that sounds really, really fascinating. You start that basically your store hours are currently you're closing at 6. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Normally we're open till 8 because we're having, the lessons that are going on in the evening typically. But right now, none of our teachers have decided to come back. They're all subcontractors. They make their own hours. And so, we just decided, well, if we're going to be here later in the night, let's make sure we count for something, not just hanging around the store waiting for someone to come buy a set of strings 5 minutes before we close.
Mm-hmm.
And that has worked out really, really well. I think we have 2 more appointments tonight. So that's really, really taken off. It might, we go through experiences like this as a society, and we modify our practices and we change. I think this is probably something that we're going to continue to do. I think when all this is over and said and done, if we ever get back to some sort of normalcy, which I know we will, I think we're going to continue to do this private experience thing. Our store is an experience. I mean, when we put it together, all the cool lighting and the features and the rock walls, the chandeliers, the waterfalls, all that stuff that we have going on, it's an environment you want to come be in. And in today's retail marketplace, you have to have a place where people want to come and hang out and stay and have an experience. So turning it into a private experience was a pretty easy thing to think about doing. And like I said, we're killing it right now with that. People love that, and they like the attention that they get and the lack of interruption, and it's just worked out really, really well. It makes us better salespeople too. It really does.
I bet. So on that private experience, how does a customer request that experience? Tell me what that process is like, and how are you qualifying the customer to kind of know what to set up and prepare for?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. Most of them have been calling into the store, and 50% calling into the store, and half of them are just texting the employees here at the store. And there's been a couple of emails as well. We just tell people to reach out. We've got it on our website. Call us at the store is the main way to do it. But I think a lot of them have been emailing us. And then, as people, some people will just email us or call and just are interested in something a service that we offer or something that we sell, and then we turn it into the private experience. So we say, hey, why don't, I know you're thinking about getting a Strat, so why don't we, when we tell them about it, and it's that kind of attention that really, I think, makes the customer feel special. And then everybody spends money. I think we have a better opportunity to help them get what they need and let them go through some pedals and crank it up and try different things. And it's worked out really, really well. So most of them have been phone calls. Well, I guess it's a little bit of all. Phone calls, texts, emails. We're turning people into the private experience, and other people are just simply requesting it.
And our interaction through Facebook and Instagram is another way. I mean, there are 3 of us that have our Facebook connected immediately to our phones, and so we use it just like we would text messages, and so we respond. I think that's a huge key. Is you can have social media, but if you don't respond to the folks who are engaging with your page, then and you let a comment or something exist out in the ether for 2 or 3 hours and not respond, then you've lost that connection. So
yeah,
we message immediately back.
Yeah, I think hopefully everyone knows that if they're, if you're going through the trouble of doing social media, the whole point of that is to engage with your customer base. And if your part of engagement is response and having conversations. So Ryan, tell me when you're working with customers and setting up this private experience, how do you know how much time to allocate toward, for it? Because if you're doing multiple appointments a night, you've got to know like, all right, well, this is going to take 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Tell me how that qualifying process is going.
So typically when somebody calls in, up to this point, we were officially allowed to open our doors to normal business, modified normal business yesterday. But typically when someone would call in, we would have that extra time to just say, give us an hour or whatever. But typically everything that's happened to this point as far as a one-on-one experience has been under an hour. And I think, the opportunity for a customer to come in and sell themselves on an instrument. I mean, part of this is having great customer service, but also knowing when to step back and let the person just have the room. Making sure that everything you have is plugged up, making sure that everything you have is set up well, and setting things up to where the customer kind of sells himself on what you have, and has a chance to get kind of emotional with an instrument. I mean, what we do is a very emotional thing. Like, we're dealing with artists, we're dealing with people that this is a passion, and so there's a want to when somebody comes in the door. And it's just allowing them the space to kind of explore that, I think, is the most important thing. And qualifying them on the phone. Look, we typically don't have a lot of tire kickers in our store. And it's not because we're great salespeople or anything. It's just that we try to keep our finger on the pulse of what people want. And so having good availability of the cool things, having, plenty of stock in those things, and having stuff available for folks is a huge selling point. And that also goes to having good relationships with your distributors and your makers.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I think the great thing about that private experience, of course, is that, obviously it gives you time to prepare, which is awesome. Knowing that a guy wants to come in, he wants to look at custom shop strats or, pick your brand. You can get those things together. You can get the coordinating products together. I would imagine that because that you're making, you're making extra effort for that customer, there's just some of that social pressure on their end that they feel like, hey, I'm here. I should make a purchase. I can't just sit here and screw around and play guitars all night. So have you found that like the average sale and that the items per sale has been higher with this more private experience, or are
Absolutely.
they coming in and just getting that one guitar leaving?
Yeah, I mean, they're picking up accessories while they're here, but the average sale is hundreds, if not thousands, more than our typical average sale. It's always big ticket items. It has been, fantastic. Yeah, and those are the kind of things you sell one of those and you're good for a day or two. But no, they stack up pretty quickly, and our acoustic room is running low right now. We've got guitars on order, and we're trying to coordinate some things. That's been throughout all of this COVID thing. The acoustic instruments have really skyrocketed, high end and mid, low, everything. There's not been one price point that's been ignored. So, but it's more high dollar items for sure. In the thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. Greg, you had mentioned that you would likely continue this private experience even after all the COVID stuff is over. What do you think that will look like in the future, where, like, at some point we'll get back to in-store lessons and all that kind of stuff? Is this something that you would do like a couple of days per week? Have you given any thought to what this might look like going forward?
I think if the customer wants to do it, we're going to make the time to do it. I mean, I can't come on Tuesday nights. Okay, when can you come? I think it really is. It's all about one of us being here for that person when they want to be here. Hey, I'm not gonna. I can't see saying, "Oh, this is too great," or this, we're only going to offer it this time. If we're closed on Sundays. I think if someone wanted to come in on a Sunday afternoon and one of us was available and willing to do it, I would not make anyone come in and do it on Sunday. But we would be here for them. We're going to be here for our customers. We always have been, before this and after this. So whatever we need to do. If the private experience means me bringing out 4 Martin guitars to somebody's house out in East Jesus, I'll do it, and I'll bring the finance applications with me. We'll take care of it. Yeah. We'll just do what needs to happen. That's how we've always kind of done this business. And there's no other way to do it.
I think there's a want to on the retailer's end. We want to. We love our customers. We treat our customers like family. And it's not just trying to put the most expensive instrument in their hand. It's about trying to find out what they want, what they need, what kind of music they play. And typically, in our store, there are 3 of us that are salespeople that are, instrument experts or whatever. Would you call us instrument experts, Greg? That would be, I think that's
IE.
That's
IE.
Yeah, IE.
Yeah.
But there are typically just 3 of us here who are kind of involved in that process, and all of us have a want to. We're all passionate about instruments. We're passionate about this business. We're friends. We smell like each other. It is like we care about what we do, and there's a want to on the retailer's end. Like, do you want to take care of your customer? Do you want to see what you're doing, what you're involved in, what you're invested in succeed? Or is this just a job and you happen to own it?
Yeah.
So,
Bob Nagin always talks about really thinking about what would my customer want. And you guys are really just, hitting the nail on the head there. Wherever the customer wants us to be, whatever experience they want, whatever products they want, Ryan, like what you were just talking about, us providing that. It's not about what we want, it's about what the customer wants. If we take care of what the customer wants, then they'll take care of the things that we want, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We do. We concern ourselves with margins and things like that, but we carry certain brands that offer us very little margin, because it's something that people want, and it'll bring them in. And if we're just talking about the retail end of it, they're gonna have to buy cables in a one spot and some other things, but it also brings them into the store. And we, again, like Greg was saying, we create such a cool environment to spend time in. And we all love what we do here. So they're going to stick around, or they're going to come back. It's not typical that somebody comes in here once and never returns.
Yeah.
Oh, never. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about there's several things about the video you did on YouTube. And by the way, if anyone listening wants to see it, they can go to your website at thirdrockmusiccenter.com, and you've got it posted front and center, and probably search for it on YouTube as well and find it. But there's a couple of things that you're doing that are really clever. You're doing a lot of the standard stuff that I think almost every smaller retailer is doing. Is you're cleaning all surfaces and get a regular cleaning regimen. You're asking customers to practice social distancing. But there's a couple things that are really clever. You've have also followed some of the big box guidelines of putting up plexiglass shields in front of the registers. But what's more clever than that is you've actually in your lesson rooms set up the lesson rooms where you've got a plexiglass shield basically kind of in the middle of the room between where the instructor and the student would sit. And then you've also done something else with guitars. Once a customer has played a guitar, you've asked them to put it on backwards with the back facing out, so that that guitar needs to be
absolutely
cleaned and sterilized. So
Mr. Obvious, yep.
Yeah, well, it's such some of the best ideas. So tell me, let's go back to the lesson room one. That's such a smart idea. I haven't seen that done before. Give me kind of just the nuts and bolts about the execution of that. How is this plexiglass sheet?
It's hanging.
hanging from the ceiling.
We have drywall. The plexiglass doesn't weigh anything. It's 1/8 inch or less, and Lowe's has these sheets. Yeah, they're like $90. They're out of them now, but they're 3 foot by 6 foot, and you just carefully drill some holes close to the end of it, and you get some loop chain and some hooks. You put some drywall anchors to kind of screw in the ceiling. It's basically 2 feet apart, and then you use a little chain to drop them down. They just hang there. They're not mounted in any way, and easy enough when all this is over, if it ever gets over. I'm sure, like I said, it will. It's easy enough just to take the hooks out. I'll leave the little things in the ceiling. You don't notice them or see them, but they're just, you drill a little hole and then you screwdriver this thing in, and then you anchor the little hook into it and drop the plexiglass by the chain. We did that downstairs as well. I didn't want to have anything sitting on the counters, touching the counters. I know I see a lot of these out there with plexiglass. They have these feet on them, plexiglass feet. I also wanted to leave a few inches below so that we can slide any kind of paperwork or receipts or anything that needs to be handled between the employees and the customers in that regard. But you didn't hang them, and then we'll just take them down. It won't be any big deal. I hope we never have to use them again.
Yeah, it was really clever. And of course, the guitar idea. As soon as our people saw that, they're like, "Oh, that's so smart." How do you communicate that to customers so that they know?
We did have to modify.
Yeah, I had an accident with that one. Yeah, right after I hung that back up in the video, it was $1,600 Strat, and after I hung it up, I walk away from it, and it's this Plinko on down to the ground. You got to be kidding me. We have to be pretty careful. I mean, our hooks have little latches that come in front of them. And we have a railing system that they're on, so we do have to be careful because they don't really stay in there right. You just have to be very deliberate about how you hang them up to make sure they don't slip off. The funny thing is, I don't know how the guitar wasn't damaged. Nothing below it was damaged, which was even more expensive. And then we sold it the next day, and and we told the customer, hey, this thing took a little fall, and got, oh, it's fine, I don't care, I'll take it. So. It was kind of a funny thing that happened right after we turned the video off. I kind of wish we would have left it on. It would have been a great little spoof detail.
Yeah, add it to the blooper reel.
You don't see this. Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, it just made sense to do that. I mean, everything hangs up there anyway. If you turn it around, it means do not touch. And we actually now also have a little table set up if people come in, and we got this idea from Spicers on a little NAMM webinar that we did with them recently, where they have someone at the door asking, do you have any questions about our policies? And so we just set up a little table, and we have someone sitting there just kind of explaining the rules and regulations as you come in, and we're glad you're here. If you do have the opportunity to touch an instrument, make sure we hang it up backwards, so that if you see one hanging up backwards, don't touch it. If you haven't gotten to it yet. So that's really worked out well. We also have a little area by the stage. We have a stage in the middle of our store. And since obviously we're not doing any performances or gatherings, so we have some merchandise on the stage now. I hope that goes away. That's one of those things. We always loved having live music in the store. But we set all a bunch of guitar stands in front of the stage. If you see them there, a customer might pick one up and just walk over. If they don't feel comfortable hanging it backwards, they know to take it to that designated area. And there's also a kind of a blue tote that we keep there. So if someone grabs a set of strings, they kind of turn it over and look at the gauge or whatever, and they decide not to buy it. They know to just bring it over and put it in the bucket so that we can wipe it down before we hang it back up.
Right.
So, but someone at the front of the store to kind of explain, here's the policies right now. We appreciate you following them. Thank you for being here. And take it from there.
So you've been able to reopen yesterday, and I would assume you've been closed 6 weeks or so before. How did you guys end up handling that whole process? Did you have to lay people off?
Yeah.
Were you able to keep folks? Did you apply for any of the CARES Act funding? Tell me
absolutely.
How you've managed this.
Yeah, when all this started, we could kind of feel this coming around March 10th, March 12th. We have a friend who is an employment attorney, and so we got a hold of him, and he said the kindest thing that you could do for your folks is to lay them off. We're a young business. We've only been in business for 5 years. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars bankrolled in a safe somewhere that I can use for to pay people in situations like this. So that being said, we wanted to make sure our folks were able to get what they needed. The state of Ohio set up a special fund or code so that when they did apply for unemployment, it wouldn't ding us on our unemployment insurance that we pay. which is very kind of them to do that. We gave them the code. Everybody pretty much took care of that. And that's where they were. We did, it was kind of funny. A couple weeks before everything started back in February, I guess I had a new banker assigned to me at Huntington. We originally went through to get our SBA loan, to buy the building, to start the business. Was the new guy was just contacting me, wanting to know if we needed anything, and he was very deliberate, and every week he'd hit me up, and finally it's like, you know what, I might want to talk to this guy. You got Huntington's an SBA lender, they're one of the largest in the country. So when we first heard about this thing coming out, about roughly the middle of March, I think we were their fourth application. We just keep bang, 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 bang. Hey, Rudy, we're ready to take the app yet? Ready to take the app yet? And finally, it was a Saturday evening. They took the app over the phone, and it still took like 10 days, but we were assured, and we got our money for that. And we also got our emergency money as well. So we've been very fortunate. We've been, and that's really, really helped. And these guys know that they'll be fine for a while, and I know that they'll be fine for a while. And we've been selling so much stuff lately, we're going to be fine. I never really was worried. Things like this come and go, and I know it's a little bit bigger, but we all made it through 2008. We all made it through 9/11. We all made it, and we're going to continue. And we have very strong faith too, and we know who's in control. We're just here, playing the game and trying to manage everything as best we can. But we were very fortunate. We got the money that we needed, and we've been very, very busy. The phone's ringing now. It's great. So.
Yeah, I know when we first were considering the idea of laying off our people, that was just, it was hard for me to imagine that it would come to that. And of course, it kind of quickly became apparent that there's not going to be any other option.
Yeah, there's no money coming in, at least not nearly as much as there was. We all work on cash flow. We pay our vendors. We predict how much cash we're going to have. We make sure we have enough to pay our vendors. We don't get behind on anything. We never have. We're never going to. And we want to make sure we have, obviously, the more important thing, enough money to pay our folks.
Yeah.
And if it means not taking a paycheck from me, I'm good with that. We've been there and just make sure everybody else is taken care of in the most practical way possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's the things that you have to do, and it's funny, you kind of quickly adjust to it and get used to it. And now it's like, no, this will pass,
That's right. It'll pass.
Biggest thing to happen since World War II, whatever,
Yeah. The next time something odd or something more tragic happens in all of our lives, we'll look back and go, that was easy. This is tougher than that,
Yeah.
So, we'll get through it. We'll get through it.
I think you're right. Well, let's talk about some of the normal stuff that people want to know. So you mentioned that you started the company 5 years ago, and tell me a little bit about each of your roles. And Ryan, maybe let's start with you. Kind of tell us like what your background is, and what exactly that your role is in the business.
Yeah, so I'm the has-been that never was. When I graduated high school, I wanted to be a rock star, but then I quickly realized that I had the face for radio. But I went to Luthier School when I got out of high school, and so I went down to John Marshall's, did a lot of in Atlanta. Did a lot of stuff working as an apprentice in some of the old Mars stores. Takes you back. And then as kind of time went on, I worked at a couple of retailers, did some repair stuff for them. And then in 2004, I entered youth ministry, was in youth ministry for 15 or so years, and then returned back into the industry in 2017 and worked in a repair shop. And Greg and I have been friends since my wife and I moved to Cincinnati. He was my shop. He was where I came to get my stuff, and always thought it would be really cool to work with him. And I finished my 4-year degree. It only took me 20 years. Back in December, and the opportunity was here to come and work work here.
He's a newbie.
Yeah.
He's not a newbie, but he's a newbie to us.
Right.
So we're still excited about him being here. It's
Yes.
I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last.
Yeah, we're still in honeymoon phase. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've known all these folks for years and years and years, and they've always been very good friends, and even in tough times, a good shoulder to spit on and cry and snot and all that. And that's the thing, is we're pretty much all kind of family here. I kind of, again, I'm the guy that works on repairs and works with customers and stuff all day long. And then I go home and I go to my basement and I work on guitars and watch YouTube videos. So this is what I'm passionate about. I am the store know-it-all and geek. So I kind of keep my, again, finger on the pulse of like pedals and what's kind of happening in the industry, and trying to give us the best opportunity to have that product in, and get it as quickly as we can, so that we can get it in our customers' hands and have them enjoy it.
That's great. And Greg, what about you? What's your background, and what's your day to day?
The long, hard story. Yeah, I mean,
give us the quick version.
I went to the Conservatory of Music here in Cincinnati as a theory composition major. Did a lot of electronic music stuff. Got out, wanted to be a rock star. Was in a bunch of different bands touring all around the Midwest, various Holiday Inns. Met my wife in that process in a bar. Who's still with me today after 30 years. Yay! I'm the lucky one. And then started working in a music store, local music store, a couple different ones. And I was doing that for 25 years, had a great career doing it, made decent money doing it, kind of specialized in the whole keyboards thing, and then now kind of diverted more into the audio aspect of it with all the installations and things that we do in that end of it. It's a pretty strong part of our business right now. And then we got the company we work for decided to get out of combo and just be a band instrument store. So they closed all the stores, let us all go. And that was 5 years ago, and I couldn't think of doing anything else. So one of the managers, Tony Caldwell, who was the manager at one of the stores, I managed another store that was out on this side, decided to let's see what we can do about keep this going. We have thousands and thousands of customers and great relationships, and that's usually where it starts. When we started this business, we already had customers and great friends and loyal people. And so I was in my dining room taking orders, and we're starting these new relationships with all the vendors over again. And then I had a plan, was approaching many banks, got turned down, I think 8 times. And finally, we were able to get the loan that we needed to buy the building that I wanted and, get inventory and build the place out. I had to do it all myself. I had to come in here at 3 a.m. in the morning and work on electric and displays, and the place we had to gut it. We were upstairs, and then we moved downstairs and had different grand openings throughout the time, but always wanted to be very, a really cool place to come with really nice features, and it's just the lighting and everything. The place is really, really cool. So, and that's another reason why people like coming here. The whole experience. We've been doing this a long, long time. We know a lot about how the industry works, all the items that are out there, trying to keep out in front of it. I rely on Ryan to do that a lot. I'm often now out, on a lift somewhere installing speakers or doing stuff like that. I enjoy getting out of the store. Right now, I'm spending more time in the store, obviously, because we're kind of revamped a lot of things. But no, we've been very blessed, and we sold a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of great relationships with our vendors and tons of great customers. And and it just keeps growing. We're still a young store. There's still people locally that are still discovering us. Our marketing budget is zero. That's why we make videos and throw them out there and hope people share them. That's our marketing. Every now and then we'll boost something on Facebook, but we just do it all in house. We do it all ourselves. We learn as we go, and we've had a lot of fun with it.
So, Greg, this is a perfect segue. Again, like I mentioned at the top, one of the things that I first admired about your business was just the way the store looked. It just looked like it'd be such a beautiful place to lose an afternoon in and see all the new cool products and stuff like that. And you know, you've got all the great gear, of course, which is important, but you've also, as we can kind of see from the background that Ryan's in, you know, spent a lot of time and effort to make the store experience great. You mentioned you've done a lot of that work yourself. Tell me, like, where did the inspiration for like the design and the ideas of rock walls and waterfalls and lights and everything else?
Yeah,
who comes up with all that?
it's just my wife tries to take credit for the chandelier, but you know, it's just I think the whole thing is just something. You know, when I first saw the building, the location was the most important thing. When I walked in, it was a printing press type of facility where there were two 20-ton 4-color printing machines on one end of the building. The guy was redoing cars in the back of the building. The drop ceiling was caving in, and all I saw was a big space with 2 bathrooms. You know, and I mean, I can work with this. You know, price was right, and he wanted to get out. So, you know, it's kind of, I've always had a really creative eye. I did a lot of art when I was in high school, and I can just look at a space and say, you know, well, why don't we do it this way? And I remember, you know, we have this rock wall running down the side with all this blue lighting on it, which has kind of become our brand that you see a lot on a lot of the pictures and stuff that we do, and in a lot of our videos. So people, I want to make sure that when they're watching us online or seeing something online, they kind of get the idea of the experience is shared that way as well. But I was fiddling. We use a lot of Unistrut in our installations when I'm hanging speakers and whatnot. And I remember I was preparing some stuff to take out to a job, and it's while I was, you know, remodeling the store, and I didn't want to just hang the guitars on slat wall. I wanted to figure out a way to have them kind of floating, or have the appearance of floating with the dimension behind it of the colored rock wall with all the features and the 3D aspect of that. And I just started piecing together some Unistrut, grabbed a guitar hanger and stuck it on there and said, you know what, I think I can make this work. And putting the cedar columns to bolt those. So the guitars actually hang out. They're actually suspended on the Unistrut pieces that I put together. And we can slide them left or right, just like you can on slat wall. But I mean, I've been in so many music stores, it looks like you're in a Dollar Tree. You know, it's just white slat wall everywhere, and everything's kind of just, nothing's real. I don't know. I just wanted to get away from that cold, because what we do, it's so inspirational. The music aspect, everything that our customers are involved with, it's being creative. So I wanted to try to create it, and I wanted to make an environment that was different and inspiring. And then when you look at that, the same guitar that you see at Guitar Center, of course, it's going to be set up better and well more taken care of. But it's just, you know, when you look at that guitar and you have all the stage lighting everywhere and all the cool colors and how we have it set up, it's a special place to be. And our customers, they you know, when they come in for the first time, I remember when we first opened up, everybody's just walking around with their cameras out, and they're just sharing everything online about how the place looks and how, you know, how you can take a $1,000 guitar and make it look like $1,000, or you can make it look like $5,000, you know. And you know, of course, we're on MAP price when everything is like everything else. I'm not trying to get more. I'd love to get more, but you know, we realize the reality of retail. But having a shopping experience, you know, if you don't offer an experience like that, I don't know in today's world why you'd want to go online and do something versus go to a local store that's like a Dollar Tree. I just didn't see it happening. So so obviously I had the advantage of starting from scratch. And just in my mind's eye, the room that Ryan's in right now is a corner of the room. There used to be a Ford Mustang up on cinder blocks with oil cans on nasty shelves on the wall with everything cinder block in there. And it was just a corner. And I was doing an installation at one of the health plexes here. And they were turning one of their racquetball courts into a yoga studio. They needed some background music for the yoga. So I walked in there and I'm looking up at this big glass wall. And this is before I even moved into the building, but I had ideas. And I knew that I wanted that glass in a room. I thought that would be kind of cool. And so I bartered the glass from the racquetball room and used that. And when we built the room for the acoustics, so obviously starting from scratch is a big advantage there, and then running into things and trying to repurpose a lot of stuff. The thing we put all the drumsticks in is a mail sorter from an insane asylum out in Athens, Ohio. That was like 150 years old.
That's
So
appropriate.
exactly. So, and we've modified
For
that
drummers,
again
yes,
while we went
exactly,
on.
yeah.
Exactly. But that room that Ryan's sitting in is all glassed off, and I think you're on the back side of the market. But you can see the chandelier hanging there, and we have the gold lights on it, and it's got the big ottomans that I kind of floated, and when I was building all the walls, because I did all this stuff myself. I'm working with metal struts or metal 2x4s, I guess you could call them, and because they wouldn't let us use wood because we have a second floor in the fire code and getting with all the permits. So I was just, I'm cutting this stuff up and using it in different ways. And I thought, well, I could lift these ottomans up with this, and I made these really cool stands the ottomans sit on to make them a real good guitar height. And plus, we can store cases and stuff underneath them. So storage is always a big problem, but we've been able to make that work. You've got all these extra cases and things that you have to find somewhere to put them. And so we do have a storage room upstairs, but we are getting a workout. I'm amazed how many times I look at my little watch at the end of the day. Look, 20 flights of stairs climbed today, and my feet feel it. But through the course of the day, we're always going up and down the steps. I'm not saying we're in shape because we're all fat and ugly and old, but every little bit helps. So I'm kind of glad actually we have the storage upstairs. Maybe in 10 years I won't, when I get to that age where I just want to stop or whatever it is. But
well, I mean, so right on with having that store experience. Now I live in Springfield, Missouri, which is the home of Bass Pro, which is kind of one of the pinnacles of like store experience. And not to say that I've learned many lessons from them, but you're exactly right. Like, I think there's too many folks that they think that just the fact that they're local and they're open should be enough reason for customers to support them. But you really have to be worthy of it. And, it's harder and harder to do. I mean, having cool products and being local just isn't going to be enough to really thrive. You might not for
brick and mortar. Not for brick and mortar. I mean, we sell online too, and that's grown a lot in the past few weeks, but which is fun to finally see. You come in, or while I'm sitting there, my watch is dinging and orders are coming in. So that's awesome, to see that happen, and then still have people come in and make an appointment. So we're growing, and I'm going to continue to grow. We're still a small store. There's only 5 of us, and just doing the best we can, and as we can afford to do it. But it's really been a blessing to be able to do all of this, and in the way that we've been able to do it. You work really hard, and you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah. I'd love to see you guys add more photos on Google Photos. There's only like 3 or 4 up there.
And you're back to one of those things. It's like you want to keep them up to date, and you want to keep doing stuff, and but I'm sorry, we're busy. We got customers. If you see us putting up more photos and stuff like that, it's not because we don't want to, but it's because we're not busy. And if we're not busy, that's bad. When we're doing installations and the store's a mess, we're getting large shipments in of big speakers and rack cabinets, and and my wife always complains, this place looks like a dump, and I'm like, well, but we're making money right now and we're really busy. It's funny when the place gets cleaned up and it looks spotless and perfect. That's when you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, have we got any money coming in? What do we got going on, guys?
Right.
Right now though, it's different. It is very spotless. We've moved. Our guitar service area used to be to the left as you walked in next to the acoustic room, and all the repairs would get piled up around the door in the acoustic room and in front of the glass wall. And we've always dabbled in drums, but I think everyone in our industry knows, unless you're a drum store, that's one market that has tanked over the last 20 years. And, I originally was a drummer. I still have a passion for that. But, I just decided that we're going to shrink our drum department. I'm going to stop stocking a gazillion different kind of sticks. I'm going to stop stocking a gazillion bunch of heads. In case anybody's listening, I have an eBay listing right now of about 60 various drum heads for really, really cheap out there. So, I've boxed them all up and they're ready to ship. I want to get those things out of here. But we moved the guitar service area to the back. I created a storage area above the new bench. And, this whole time we've been off, I've been at the store every day kind of adding more rock wall, adding more lighting, trying to prep the store, not just to be better for COVID, but to be better, period. And, people are coming in and they see it now. They see more features and more cool stuff, and we got a better area for service. That's really, with Ryan here especially, we've always done a lot of guitar service, and we all work on those things together. but we have a certain place for it now in the back of the store where all the drum stuff used to be. And that's a big moneymaker for us. You know, a lot of people are catching on, and it's a great way to bring customers into the store. They bring something broken in, and they either get it fixed, and we make decent, money doing that, or they buy something new, or maybe both, or so just offering that is we've always done it, but we're taking it to the next level now. We got a separate computer back there, we got a printer back there, we got a phone back there, we have everything to do to make that almost like its own little store, which is what it really deserves to be. And having Ryan here, it's always wrapped around you people. As soon as Ryan started working here, that's when I kind of figured, I better up my game as far as how this is all going to work, because I want to support the folks in what they do and what they're passionate about, and have a nice place to do that. So, the store is better than it was before. It's cleaner than it was before. We're busier than we were before. So, again, it's a blessing, and we're just very fortunate, but we do work hard.
And one of the things that we do for all of our customers is, if you purchase an instrument here, you have lifetime setup, and lifetime setups, and which is, you go into any particular store, you can pay anywhere from $55 to $85 for a setup. But if you purchase an instrument from us, we set it up. If winter, summer, things change in the life of that instrument, we service it, which is another thing. And I think part of what we offer is a very boutique service, because with all of the rock wall and the aesthetic of what we do, it just adds to the perceived value of the instrument that you're purchasing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the one thing that kind of gets missed on some of the local, brick and mortars, is that there isn't that perceived value, because you can have a $5,000 instrument, behind your counter that says "do not touch" on a white slat wall that is going to sit there for 6 years, and then you're going to end up losing $150 on it on reverb after you've paid taxes on it for the last 5 years.
Right.
It does good. There is a perceived value. We offer great service. I'm really good at what I do. We're all
slouch.
Good at what we.
Yeah. He looks like a slouch, but he's not a slouch.
We're all really good at what we do.
Honestly, to be frank, like, the reality is that our business has changed a lot in the last 10 years. And, I think there's way more people like you and I than what there ever used to be. And, I've done this my entire adult life. I'm 45 years old. I've been a manufacturer's rep, and I've been in retail. And, back in the day, you'd have a few good stores here and there, and then just a lot of schlock. And today, man, the quality of stores across the board is excellent. There's still some that aren't. And matter of fact, I would imagine after this whole COVID thing, there'll be fewer of those that aren't. This is going to take out the weaker stores for sure. But I'm just amazed at how many people I meet in our industry. As I travel around, like a lot of folks, I'm stopping at music stores, and and maybe it's just because I'm visiting NAMM dealers more than anything else. And I think if you're the type of person that's going to go to NAMM and be involved at NAMM, you're probably the kind of person that's going to be, at the top of your game in terms of your retail presentation and stuff. But I'm just seeing the way stores look and the way stores service customers has just gotten exponentially better over the years, and it's very, very, very competitive. And people are, through Reverb and eBay and their own websites, but primarily through the third-party sites, there's more competition, there's more product. Back in the day, it was Musician's Friend. That was your main source of competition. And then, if you were in a market where you had a Guitar Center, then you might have that as well. And now, you almost forget about those folks in terms of.
Well, you can't do anything about what they're doing. I mean, all you can do is what you can do as a business owner or as a retailer to improve what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't, I get things from Sweetwater. Like, there's another web order just came in. It's great. So, but you can sit around and kind of, bark about what they're doing and thinking about the deals that they're getting on certain products, or you can get off your ass and you can and make something happen and make some changes. Any change is good. Don't think that, don't sit back and if I make this change, it's going to hurt this or that. Always, I thrive on it. Anytime there's a disruption, there's an opportunity, and make those changes in your business model to take advantage of what your competition is probably not able to do or not going to do. Right. That big thing, the thing that Brian was talking about. You buy a guitar here, your maintenance is free for as long as you own it. Now, what that does is, and we tell people, bring your guitar in every 6 months. Especially we get into December, things start drying out, and then when things start getting humid in June and July, we want to look at the neck, we want to make some adjustments. There's no charge for that. We will restring the instrument, we'll oil up the neck, we'll organize the frets, we'll do whatever we think the guitar is going to need. That service is free for as long as you own the instrument. And it brings the customer back in the store. They know they can come back in and they get free service. But when they're here, pedals, straps, string, they come in twice. So they come in to drop the instrument off. We tell them, you're going to have to come back the next day. We tell them that when they buy the instrument, it's not going to be an instant service. But now we get 2 opportunities for that same customer to come back into the store, drop their instrument off, look around, get some ideas, talk to us about some stuff, and then they go home and they think about it. If they don't buy it then, and then they come back to pick up their instrument. They always buy stuff. And so it's kind of a built-in insurance policy of a repeat customer. And when we tell them we get free maintenance, say, this is a $50 charge to anybody that just walks in off the street, which we do a lot of, to get your guitar set up and performing correctly, plus the cost of the strings or whatever you're going to need. But it's always going to be free for you, and other than buying the strings, they realize that. It's a win-win. And I suggest anybody that's in that business and can do that, or you need to do it, because it's been huge for us. And we've done that since day one. I was doing that at the old company I worked for before we were closing, and I saw the success rate of it. And why are we charging this for someone who's buying something here? We want these customers back in the store. There's only so many of them out there, and unfortunately, as our generation moves forward, those of us with goatees and we're balding and all this other stuff, there's not enough guitar players coming up behind us. We need to make sure that those people are coming back into our store. The market is shrinking, And going on to some oddball tangent I often talk about, I hope the guitar doesn't become the next accordion, because as the guitar players and as we all start either can't play anymore or pass away and leave these instruments to our kids, and the kids don't want them because the current generation doesn't collect anything. They're all about experience. They don't collect old stuff. They're not into that. I think there's going to be a glut of vintage guitars on the market, and I don't think there's going to be enough people out there interested, caring, or wanting to buy them. So every opportunity right now, we get to have somebody get something, come back into the store, and keep their association with the music industry and playing guitar. Anything that we can do, I think, is vitally important right now.
Yeah, and typically you walk into a store. One of the things that I love about working here, as opposed to some of the other shops that I've worked in, is that when I work in a repair shop, I'm completely isolated from other customers. But here, I'm on the floor. I keep a really neat bench. We try to keep everything really neat. And somebody comes in and they said, "Hey, can I talk to somebody about this?" And I love to talk about gear. Sure, like I'd love to help you make your instrument that you love and that you invested in play better. And there's something other about what we do than the other places that I've worked, and the other places that I've gone in and shopped. Because I'm like you, every time I travel a lot, and every time I'm anywhere for more than 2 hours, like I'm looking for a guitar shop, and I want to see what they have. I want to dig in their clearance bin.
You are sick.
Yeah. I want to dig in their clearance bin. I want to see what's been hanging on the wall too long, and I want to take it home. Because I love what I do. I love what we do. And I honestly, if you don't love it, why are you doing it? Go work at Walmart.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So guys, put your prognostication hats on. Tell me what you think the next year is going to look like. What's the next 12 months of our lives looking like?
Under COVID conditions, right? You know, you asked me this question 3 months ago, and I'd say things look great. You know, right now things are rocking for us. Summer always slows down. I think, you know, we deal with people that have expendable income who buy nice instruments. Our real competition in the world is the vacation industry, the golfing industry, the gun industry. You know, any opportunity where people have, they can take their money and fill their habits and the things that they hobbies that they like to do. So whenever the summertime always slows down. So I don't see us rocking through the summer. I think we'll be fine. We don't do band instrument rentals. We help an affiliate. We're kind of an affiliate for somebody here in town that does. I really don't know what's going to happen in that world. I really feel for those guys. With the aerosol, whatever they call it, where, you know, you got a bunch of kids in a band room and they're all blowing and spraying their disease all over the room and in everybody's hair. And so I really, really feel for those folks. I know that if, you know, my kids are all done, but, you know, if my kid wanted to rent an instrument, I'd say, oh yeah, we're getting a new one. You know, I don't want to get a used instrument. And I realize you know, there's ways of sterilizing the instruments. Heck, if you just leave it sit for 7 days, it'll be fine. But there's that perception of my kids putting my mouth on what, you know, and then, you know, and then passing around reeds, you know, sitting there in the clarinet section. You have a reed I can borrow? Let me take the one off my mouthpiece. And, you know, I know how it is in band class. I've been there. But I really feel for those guys. I think they're going to have a huge challenge. Fortunately for us right now, that's not that big of a deal. Obviously, we want to see everybody succeed. We want to see more musicians, you know. But I think for us in combo, I think things are, I mean, I was running around yesterday, there's people wanting to get ready to open up their clubs and venues, and I need to put some PA systems together and, you know, do some design work. And I see all of that. That's going to continue. I think for combo, I think it's really strong, but you got to do the right things. You got to be out in front of it, and you got to let folks know that you're out in front of it. You can't sit around and do business as usual. You got to change, and you got to make the modifications, either to your business model or just how things are in your shop, you know, or on your website or whatever. So our next big challenge is going to try to be, I think we're probably going to revamp our website and try to get that updated a little bit, since we're seeing a ton of more activity on that. You know, there's always something to do. I'm still not done with the remodeling aspect of this room. So there's always stuff to do. But I think going back to, it's going to be strong. I think it's going to be strong for combo. I do. Ryan?
I think COVID created a huge vacuum. I think that's what we're experiencing right now. And I think anybody who took the unemployment route and was just like, oh man, I'm going to catch up on Ozark on Netflix or whatever. And they just took the time off. They kind of fell into the vacuum where we see a challenge. And that vacuum was a challenge, and we just tried to find the best way to succeed. And unfortunately, I think some folks didn't really take advantage of that. And so as far as the retail, I think it may, I mean, we're going to see some folks lose. And I say that unfortunately, not because we're trying to like monopolize. I think competition only produces like success, and challenges only produce success depending on how you look at it. And I think for us, it's not just a survive, it's a thrive kind of attitude. I hope in the industry, it's kind of changed what we do, that things, especially with availability of stuff, that people start to value instruments, and we get less into these disposable instruments that you get from Amazon and things like that. And they come in and they purchase a lifetime instrument. And that's really what we're good at here is folks who come in and they purchase a lifetime instrument. They purchase an instrument that they're going to have their entire life. And if they want to trade it in, they're going to trade it in for something nicer. They're not just going to like take it to the pawn shop and hawk it. So my hope is that we get back into that, you know, folks buying heirloom or, you know, working instruments and not just the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. You mentioned something that was interesting that I would, you know, kind of have a slightly different take on it, that you mentioned, you know, competition can only give you the opportunity to improve. I wouldn't say only, but you have the opportunity for it for sure. I mean, because competition can also create failure. There are plenty of people that have been vanquished by their competitors. So let's not paint too rosy of a picture. You might go out there and get your ass kicked, and you know, you might recover from it and learn a lesson, and you might not. But the reality is, if you don't rise to the occasion, you're dead in the water. So you got to at least die trying. You know, there's no two ways about that.
What else do you have to do? I
mean, I just have, I've never had that attitude. Like, hey man, failure is the best teacher, and that's it. Like, failure only teaches me how I'm going to not do it next time.
Right. No, I like, totally get the message you're getting across. It's just, I think it's worth keep that in mind, you know, that like you've got to have that mindset of like, just because I failed doesn't mean that I won't succeed. But we can totally fail. And sometimes catastrophically. So anyway.
Yeah.
So can you guys, last couple of questions here. Think about a negative situation that you've experienced in your business career that ultimately ended up having a positive effect on your business, but you would not want to repeat again. I mean, COVID might be one of them right now. We might be living through one right now, but I think
working for my previous employer for 25 years and then just getting the ball dropped on you and say, oh, sorry, you know, we're closing, we're shutting down. Nice to know you. And then having, you know, a couple months to prepare for nothingness, and then having to, you know, start a business, get the loans, find a building, remodel that building, and all the time taking care of customers and grow the business. And I wouldn't want to repeat that. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do it, but I would not want to repeat it. If I had to do it, you know, even 5 years ago at my age, I'm getting stiffer every day. I wake up, I can't get out of bed, you know, because being up on ladders takes a toll on your body after a while. Yeah, that's one thing I wouldn't want to have to do again, but very glad, you know, one door closes, a much bigger door opened up for all of us, and we get to do what we want now. I don't work for the man anymore. It's very rewarding to have a successful business and to be able to come in every day and make a decision to make it better, you know, or an opportunity to make it better anyway, and just deal with what life throws at you and just figure out a way to make it better. That's what we do. And very blessed to be able to do that. It's a lot of fun. And in a great industry. We don't sell tires. Come on, people. You know, we're fortunate enough to sell guitars and pedals and sound systems and get people involved in music and making music. I mean, I can't, I love golf. I'm going to be playing here in a little bit. But other than something like that, I mean, I think there's more emotional feeling in this industry, a connection we have with our customers and the community and the people. And we do a lot of fundraising events every year. We pick another charity and raise a bunch of money. And we do a lot of events here in the store that's probably not going to happen for a while, obviously, because of the amount of people that we're allowed to have together. So we are going to miss out on that, but we're figuring it out. And the new room that I've done up here, and some other things we're going to still keep making music together as a family, and we're going to continue to support that and be blessed enough to be able to do it. So,
Brian, does anything stand out for you?
Working, probably one of the worst things that I've experienced working in the music retail is working for a retailer who doesn't really care anymore. 'Cause like, that's just it's a bummer, and it just makes you sad. So working in and around folks who just have lost their passion for it. That's probably the worst. I've kind of controlled my destiny, working in the music instrument industry, and so I've had the ability to kind of say when time is done for something. But yeah, just watching people just kind of give up. That's probably the worst thing.
Yeah. So finally, if you guys could send a message to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell the younger you?
Start earlier. Yeah, I would have quit my former employer and started this 5 years early. It's you get to a certain age if you've been in any industry long enough, and not just the music industry, but obviously we know a lot of people that aren't professionally in the music industry. Most of our customers are not professionals. Our best customers are not professionals. But they have the opportunity to do something they love and to hit the age of 40 or 45 or whatever that magic number seems to be, where they've been doing something for 20 years and finally get off their rear ends and do something they're passionate about. And not that I wasn't passionate before about doing it, but doing it for yourself is a little different. And then also to be around guys like Ryan and Tony and Liz and everybody who also is very passionate, and we're a team. No one works for me. Everybody works with me. And their ideas are more important usually than my ideas are. So, and let them take ownership of it, because they know, we're a small business and we all have to continue to put something into it and to be creative with it and giving everybody the opportunity to do it. But if I had a choice, I would have started this 5 years early and quit my other job and started a music business. Of course, my non-compete would have not let me do that. But, if given the opportunity, I would have started this a long time ago.
Yeah. Ryan, how about you?
I would have definitely taken advantage of just getting on phone calls with some of our makers, especially like at the boutique end. Just calling Robert Keeley and Brian Wampler and Josh Scott as they were kind of in their infancy and stuff, and building relationships with those folks. But on the other side of that, man, so many bad gear purchases. Like just I just think about all the crap that I bought in the past and had to take a bath on.
Back in, There's a story there. We're not
if I had the cash for all the bad buys,
how much and what?
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I love it.
All of us who bought our Line 6 Spiders. What was the other brand that came out that at the same time that Line 6 did? They had the gray box. Oh, I just saw one not too long ago. But yeah, like all of the
I don't know what you're talking about, man. We sold the shit out of those spiders when they came out. Oh my god.
Well, no, but I'm trying to think what the other brand was. There was another brand that came out just at the same time.
I don't know.
But I remember like the Cyber Twin and the Cyber.
Cyber those were all Fender, and then
PB
copied. And,
early days of music tech, Well, kudos to you, Ryan. That's the first time anyone's lamented bad buys on that question. I love that.
We know where his that's where that's where he lives.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then what message do you want to tell yourself 10 years from now? Time capsule message for yourself. What do you want to remind yourself 10 years from now?
I want to go first. Good pick, man. I definitely I made a tough decision pivoting out of vocational ministry, which was the thing that I knew forever. This is also something I knew forever, but I'm definitely where I'm supposed to be and definitely doing what I love. And so good pick, good pivot.
That's great. Greg, how about you?
Doing the same thing I'm doing now. I love what I'm doing. And I always talk about retirement, and my wife's always, we go to the NAMM seminars and they talk about succession planning, that's all important. My kids right now don't have any interest in doing what we do. They think we talk about this way too much, even when they are with us, even when they don't live with us anymore. I want to. I don't see me ever stopping. I don't see me ever fully retiring. I love what I do, and in some way, shape, or form, I'll always be involved in it. It's just great to be around a wonderful community of music makers, and being able to get all the stuff that they need to make their music. And I do the same thing. I work on tunes and have a little show myself, a little solo act that I do on the side from time to time. I don't get to do it as much as I usually do. I play at church once a month on rotation, which is another blessing. But making music, but supporting those that do, I don't want to stop doing it. 10 years from now, we're still going to be doing the same thing. It'll definitely probably look different. And maybe we'll be in a bigger building, and maybe we won't. I don't care. Just as long as we have the opportunity to do what we do, that's all I ask for.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode. If you'd like help with your business, check out musicretailconsulting.com for articles, resources, and coaching and consulting services. Also, you can subscribe to this podcast so you're aware of future updates, and rate and review while you're at it. Thanks for listening.